Jus Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Jus Riffin. Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology. Jus Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Jus Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Jus Riffin.
Hey, y'all. That's right. Another Tuesday. Welcome back. It's 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Hefner. My co-host, Cookie Rabinowitz, is in the building. It is another Tuesday night. This is Jus Riffin, not sponsored, but powered by Rug Radio, sponsored by your mom. Absolutely correct. Your mom is sponsoring our show today. So thank you, moms, all over the place. Thank you very much. Cookie Rabinowitz, how you feeling? How you doing? It's a new year and an old show.
I'll tell you what, my mom would sponsor it herself just to get me out of this basement of hers that I'm staying in right now. Anyway, we can move on. But I'm doing great, man. How about you, Hev? Sorry.
I'm doing good. I was mid-swallow there and I almost spit it out from laughing. I'm doing great, man. I am, look, dude, it's a new year. A lot of new things happening. We've been away from the show for a few weeks now. We missed our Christmas show. Just because it was, no, we missed whatever show it was. We missed a show because we were just family, holiday time and stuff like that. It's been very hard to do on those specific days. So we just opted to not do the shows. But we're back today after a few week hiatus, and things have been great. Spent a lot of time with family during the holiday time. I'm not a big, holiday. To me, it's just another day. Like, I'm sorry to be a Scrooge about it, but for me, it's just another day. I feel the same way with birthdays. It's just like another day to me.
It's just another day. That song? That's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a song for everything. You gotta put it out there in case people don't know it, because if they're just having another day, they can put that song on. It's Wings. I think it's a Band on the Run album, possibly. Anyway, go ahead.
Great, and it's one of my favorite albums, and those guys were killer, I
always thought it was funny, the guitar player that recorded on that, his name was Denny Lane, and the Beatles had a song called Penny Lane. I mean, What are the odds, right?
What are the odds? Maybe Penny was Denny's mom.
Maybe. Oh, speaking of Denny, did you ever try the moons over Miami?
I did one time.
Okay.
When I was a kid. Do they still even make that, Denny's?
I don't know. I've been Denny's for 30 years.
Yeah, me neither. I'm with you. We do have a dope spot down here in South Florida called Lester's, and the cup of coffee you would love. Well, you drink coffee, but it's like this. It's huge.
I know you definitely been at the Rock and Roll Denny's on Sunset at a time or two, right? Of course. I think I had several moons over my hammy.
That's right, dude. So funny. The holidays were great, and it was really not so much the holidays for me, but like just spending time with the family and seeing everybody, which was awesome. And had a lot of time to dig into this more AI stuff. So AI agents and trying to find out what they're all about. And then I also dabbled in creating my own agent, like without the help of
virtuals and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, without the help of that, because those companies, they already have done the work. They've built it for you. You just kind of fill in the holes, right? Non-complicated. And I guess it can be a little more complicated depending on how intuitive you are with code and whatnot that you can manipulate. But if you're an average person and you just want a AI agent, you can utilize these tools that are available. I was doing it the hard way, trying to build it from scratch, which was great too, because I got a chance to learn a little bit about what goes into it, how what the mechanics are behind everything. And so I did learn a lot there. And I know you've been yourself have dabbled into AI agents, and we've discussed this and stuff. So what's for me, I'll tell you my take after. I want to hear your take actually, before I give you mine. But I'd love to hear your take on this AI agent thing that's happening now, that's evolving.
I think it's really cool. It's funny because all this artificial intelligence stuff, about 20 years ago, I had a little website for my band that I made, and I used a coding language. It was just a little HTML type of language called AIML. It standard for Artificial Intelligent Markup Language. It was invented by a gentleman named Richard Wallace, and it's very. The thing is, it didn't have the machine learning aspect. It would have wildcards. So like, people would go to the website, ask the little widget up there, hey, when is the band playing? And it would tell them, and it would know. If they could ask it like 100 different ways, it would know. But all those ways had to be manually put in. Well, with the artificial intelligence, with the machine learning, it kind of, you don't have to do any of that. You just have to give it the facts, and it'll understand automatically what people meant when they're asking for it. Now, the agent level of things is next level, because now what the agent will do is, it seems to me, I'm still getting my my fingers, dipping my fingers in there, but the agent version is cool, because now not only can you interact with it and have it interact with, I guess, you know, people, whether it's your customer base or your community, or you can have it work for you like a little sidekick, you know. It's like, you know, Willis and Gary Coleman. It could be a little Gary Coleman artificial intelligence. What you talking about, Willis? But it can do that. Like, you know, it can watch what you're doing. You can tell it, hey, I want to do these things. How do I do it? And then not only can you ask it how to do it, it can help you implement these things. And that's where the agent part of it comes in. It seems like most people now are using it to engage with social media. And I love that. And you can cut me off if I'm being too long-winded with this, as I usually am. But I really like the idea, because this is a music show. Me and you both make music. And a lot of the people listening to the show make music. A lot of people around the world make music. And as artists, a lot of times we want to just make some damn music. You know, we don't want to be sitting there all day. Now, with that said, we don't want to take the human element out of interaction. So if people are just dealing with our little artist robots, that's kind of ingenuous. However, if the robots are just facilitating, hey, this is where you can see the artist play, or this is their next release that came out, and then the artist still engages on a one to, on a, you know what I'm trying to say. It's okay, I think, if it takes some of the heavy lifting out. Also, too, you know, stuff like sending out, like, have your AI agent mass send out booking leads, like, hey, I'm trying to get these gigs, or hey, I'm trying to get these songs synced in television shows. So you can have the agent, for instance, go to LinkedIn, scan all the music supervisors of every show, make a list up, and then you can have the agent type you up a letter, you oversee that letter, make sure it's kind of cool, and blanket send them out. Now, with that said, I find that you're usually better off taking the extra time and being a little more personal when you send out letters like that, and most of them get rejected, as we know anyway, or never even looked at. But you know, if you could send out tens and tens of thousands of things with the use of one of these agents, and then you can sit there and actually do what you were born to do, whether it's write a song, score a movie, make a video game music, or, you know, dance.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you, like, back when you were doing the AI ML, was it, when you were entering the stuff manually, back then, was it actually, I didn't catch it if you said it, but was it learning? I think you were saying.
No, that's what it lacked. It lacked the machine learning. What it was, and it was cool, I ran it all locally at the time from a crappy, like, Millennium Windows computer. It was a Java applet, right? And then it was like an XML, like, you know, like it's an XML text file, pretty much. And you would just, it had a certain coding language, like, you know, certain brackets and stuff you use for it to understand what was a question, what was an answer, what was a wild card. And you could just manually input all this stuff in, right? So I was so neurotic, and I'm not gonna lie, I was on a lot of cocaine on those days. I'm just kidding, but anyway, I'm actually not kidding. But but yeah, but I'm totally against drugs. Not really.
For me, without AI in there, by the way.
That's true. Well, for me, I'm totally against drugs, right? But anyway, except for, you know, maybe some shrooms every now and again. But
all right.
You know, but anyway, but without that said, anyway, with the you know, it took hours and hours. You'd be typing in all this stuff.
So it wasn't retaining memory. It wasn't putting the information. It wasn't learning from what you were doing. It wasn't
learning. However, it did capture the interaction with the people from the outside. So that was really cool, because you could learn about your audience that way. Like, you know, like what people were asking it, you know, like, hey, you know, so it was it was very cool. And one day, it just kind of disappeared. I thought it was really cool. I don't think as many people thought it was as cool as I thought it was.
Mhm.
But this new level of stuff is obviously like a whole different level. You know?
Dude, we're like in a friggin' time warp, really, with it. It's so amazing that just the capabilities of what's going on with AI today. It's just remarkable to me, the amount of the ability that it has, or that it, yeah. This is, I mean, we've discussed AI plenty of times on our show here. I use AI on a daily basis. I know a lot of people and their moms now. Reason why I say moms, because moms are sponsoring our show today, but like everybody and their moms are using ChatGPT, right? I was my little cousin Ella, she's been on the show. I'm like, you know, we're talking about something. She's like, oh, I'll just chat it, you know, meaning instead of Google it, like I'll just chat it, you know?
Wow. They even have a window for it now. I love it.
Yeah.
Before
So funny. I'll just chat it. So this is something, you know, like everybody's using. Some people are using it for fun. Some people are actually using it. I myself, I use it as just an extension of me, because I'm telling it what to do. I'm explaining from my brain what I want. So it's just this assistant that really just packs a punch better than any human, in my opinion, because the information, when you ask it, it gives it to you right away. Sometimes the human has to go look up or do the research if they don't know. This is just quick and fast, and it's helped out a lot with everything, with writing stuff, even with making outlines and things that I want thought-wise, that I use for myself, not for like, you know, for monetization or monetizing, but just for your average everyday type of things that you're doing. So I like it. I love it. And I think with the AI agent, where the capabilities to not just, we're seeing it on the timeline, we're seeing it on, you know, on CT, but these are agents that are made for X, for Twitter or whatever, but you have the same thing that could be for any other platform, and could also do really anything that you wanted to do. When you mentioned something, you said something, and it I'd have to go back and rewind this show, but with the AI itself, it's been before agents. There's been agents. We just never call them agents. So if you go to like Zapier or I forget the other kind, or I forget the other company, I have to look it up, that does exactly what Zapier does, which is AI. It's just bots that'll automate things for you.
If this then that type of stuff, they used to, right? If this then that, that's what they used to call it. I don't know if they still do. I want to interject on that. On one of those things you said there too, though. With you were saying how, you know, it's you ask it the questions. It's true, but not only that, the answers it gives you, you filter them before you use them. So at the end, you know, it's going. You're going to it, and then it's coming back to you, and then you're putting out what you decide to put out. So it's still you. You're still curating the information based on your knowledge and taste. And that's what we have as humans, also known as a voice, whether we sing with it, whether we write with it, whether we paint with it, whether we dance, or whether we do dev work with it, which we all know devs are the new rock stars.
Devs, protect the devs. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Protect the devs at all cost. Whatever you got, if you got myriad market points, put it all on the devs. Bet on the devs. Speaking of myriad markets, I use AI for myriad markets also.
You know, and another thing about that myriad markets, that's really cool though. Have you been dipping in there, you know?
I love myriad markets. We could talk about myriad markets, since we really haven't really spoke about myriad markets on our show. We did a little bit, but in the beginning when they first launched, and it was only us in there, the creators and the team, you know. But okay, Myriad Markets. So for people that don't know what we're talking about, Myriad Markets is a company that was born from Distan, which is Rug Radio and Decrypt Media. And they built this platform, which is a prediction market, and also engage to earn. So you're earning points while you learn, right? You're maybe reading an article and then take a quiz, and you get to earn points from that. Maybe you're, maybe you're retweeting, liking, and leaving a comment on one of the that they have for earning, right? So you can earn points for that. You could also play the markets. Now, you're not playing with real money, but essentially it's going to turn into a token, which will kick back. It'll have a value to it. There'll be money behind it. But the whole key to Myriad Markets is not to hold your points. You want to use them and use them, just use them up, because they're not going to give you, Myriad Markets is giving tokens. There's going to be a TGE, and it's MYR is the ticker, MYR. And that's going to be coming, I think, in the first quarter is what they were talking, what they've been saying. They're not paying you on the amount of points that you've earned. They're paying you on your participation, on the points that you've used. Now, you can't take the points out and do anything with them now. This is just points that you're earning from the site itself, and you get to use it on the prediction markets, which is what they're looking at. They're looking at your engagement, and they're looking at how much you're actually betting on the markets. And you got a P&L. You got profits and loss. So it's all there. It's really slick. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, I believe it's beta.myriad.markets.com or myriad.markets. I got to look it up here. Let me not give the false information. Give me 2 seconds, everybody. Actually, I could pull it up. I can pull it up. Let's do that. Let's pull it up while we're talking. You go ahead and talk while I'm pulling this up, Cookie, because I want to hear your take on.
I think it's cool. I don't like the fact that you're dropping all this alpha because no, I'm just kidding. But this is the beta phase right now. So yeah. I think they announced, I forget when, but it's instead of these points, you're going to be able to make these market predictions with USD, right? So right now we're just in the beta phase where it's just like, it's done a little differently. So I think it's a good, it's a good exercise for how much, how much scalability is there as of now, like if it's breaking or they have to fix or tweak different things. And the only way you can really see some action and how it affects the platform is if there's action there. And speaking of which, I mean, I've been seeing posts regularly. I know Farouk's been posting, like, it seemed like he posted one day, hey, there's 10,000 users or 5,000 users, and there was 10. Then I just saw a latest thing. He said there's like 20,000 users. So
I think they said 30,000. I want to say they said 30,000 today on FOMO Hour. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was up around there.
It doesn't even matter. We just need to know one thing. It's going higher.
It's going higher.
And that's no doubt about it.
Right. So people that are at home, I have it pulled up. It's beta.myriad.markets. Sign up today. It's free. It costs you nothing but time. And at the end of this year, you're going to be able to get money back. There's been airdrops. Pudgy Penguins did an airdrop. We all got points because we're part of the ecosystem, Rug Radio, right? So we ended up getting points there. There's going to be a point drop. There's also going to be a token drop as well for the Rug Radio people. If you're involved, if you own any Rug Genesises, if you own any Faces of Web3, FLW3, make sure you look these up on OpenSea or on Magic Eden. These are things that you want, not financial advice. Just go and look at it and just make sure you do your own research on this stuff, because we're giving you the alpha. We know because we've been involved with them for the last 4 years, 3-4 years. And so we know that they're good people, that they're not going to pull the rug on anybody. And these are founders that you want to be with. So, also Myriad Markets is going to be on the Abstract chain, which is Igloo Company, which is Luca Nets, Pudgy Penguins. It's big money. They're not going to fail. They won't let it fail. And the money that's behind that will not let it fail. The money, the investment. So just all I could say is go do your research, check it out. I'm going to really walk through this just briefly, Cookie, and you could chime in at any time. So I'm signed in. Now you sign in, and every day they give you points. Down here it says claim 10 points. That's for your daily streaks. So it starts over for me. I just claimed it. I just clicked a button, boom, just like that, and it ends up over here at Limbo. Limbo is a new thing that they've added here, and you can pull out once a day whatever you have in Limbo. So whatever you're earning, which is here, you earn. I clicked on earn, if you can see. Whatever you earn from here, and I'll click on this, so you click on this article here so you can kind of see how it works. I don't want to do the whole steps. I want you guys to log in and do this yourself. So this is where you can, this is one aspect where you can actually earn tokens or points that will eventually turn into tokens, okay, which will have a value to it. So you interact, you click on this, and then it takes you to a new window, which will open up and decrypt. You got to read the article, and then you take the quiz, and the quiz will give you, so you get 20 points per article that you read, okay? There's also certain things like here. I clicked on the tab up top here is Farouk. So Farouk has a bunch of tweets that he put out, and you'll earn 25 points if you complete the tasks, which is retweet, reply, and listen to the show. You have to listen at least 5 minutes in order to earn. Okay. So that's the earning aspect of it. And I'm not going to dive too much more deeper into it. You have Farouk, you have Mando, Tyler D, Rec Radio, Rug Radio, Myriad Points, all this stuff. Now I want to go back here. If you're a Pudgy Penguin holder, if you're a Rect holder, then you're also eligible to earn. If you're a Rug Radio holder, you're eligible to earn. Here you click for Rug Radio, earn now. I'm going to go to another one. Here's Rect. Play now. Here's Pudgy Penguins. Play now. I'll click on the Pudgy Penguins one because it's the last one. Now you can bet on the markets, on their markets here. And also, I didn't finish the quest because I don't have a Pudgy Penguin, unfortunately, or a little Pudgy. But I have all the other things, which I connected my ex, and you see all this stuff here. But they're actually giving away 2 little Pudgies. I don't know how much that's worth, but it's well over $5,000 at this point, I believe. And they're giving those away for free. All you need to go is come in here and just engage. Okay. So you see here also, Cookie. Yeah, my portfolio. I'll click on that real simple here. These are all the things that I bet on. I've bet on all these things. They have not completed yet. You have your past predictions, which show you. Let me show you something here. Dude, look at this one here. Look at this number here. 870% I made.
Wow, that's cool. Let me ask you something. You know, I want to keep it music related, but this is interesting to me. And there's something I've been struggling with. Maybe you could help me with. So, like, go to the current predictions that you're in. Like, do you see now? If you scroll down, so I can see, I just need to see one of them. Okay, so you see how this says here, 480 points. I see sell 89.6 points. So now, if you just bet and then anything you're in the green, if you just sell the green, is that like a guaranteed win, or is that not the way to do it? I don't really understand how that works.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it out. Okay, so let's just I'll just show you. So I bet no. What the hell is this? Fartcoin, 2 billion market cap before inauguration.
Sorry, man. I'm thinking of like, I don't think any of my like outside of Web3 friends listen to this show yet because I haven't really put it. But I'm thinking if they were like logged in and you were like, so let me show you Fartcoin. You know, obviously what they would think, you know, I don't know.
Fartcoin, everybody.
See these Pudgy Penguins and this Fartcoin. If you get involved with this Fartcoin and Pudgy Penguins, the Pudgy Penguins, you can get more Fartcoin. And then when the Fartcoin blows up, you can get more Pudgy Penguins.
No pun intended. So yeah, you're hilarious on that. And that's right though, because no one knows what the fuck Fartcoin is or any of this other crap. Okay, so I'll show you. So I bet no. And if I go to sell, which you see here, buy and sell, my no, and I go to sell it. Oops, max and sell.
Do it.
No, I don't want to do it because it's going to mess up my P&L. but I'll basically get 499 points and I'll lose 642.
Oh, so you'll lose actually off that, even though it's up. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because you don't want to sell it. I did this in the past, and I'll show you where this hurts. So you see this right here, this profit loss that I just highlighted. I'm positive 328 points now. I was positive over 5,000 points. But what I did is I'm like, oh shit, I'm never gonna win this prediction. Let me just take my coins, whatever I got. Let me just take it out. And so what it did was it gave me my coins back, but the profit, the loss was more than the profit. So it goes against my P&L.
I think I get it now. Like, even though give you the coins back, the P&L, I get it. I sort of get it. I'm going to dig into that deeper though. It's interesting to me.
It went negative.
For sure. Like, one thing I wanted to say about this too, and it's funny because I'm like, oh, this show's about music, but the more we talk about it, I kind of get interested and want to talk about it more. But I'm not really. I like to gamble on like life things, like do things. I'm not really a gambler. Like when I was younger, I'd go to casino stuff.
You're doing really good. Your profit losses, you're positive 5,000 in points. You're doing something right for someone that doesn't know what they're doing.
I do, but here's my point though. Like, I'm not a gambler this way. I'm a gambler in a lot of things, but not like this in this way. And when I started getting into it, it's a lot of fun. And here's the really wild part: like, anybody that knows me knows, and I think sports and I think athletes are amazing. Their dedication and their focus and their talents and their work ethic. But with that said, I don't care about sports at all. I don't watch football. I don't watch baseball. I don't watch basketball. I don't care. I respect it, but I don't care about it. I dig music. That's what I do. But anyway, with that said, though, I've been betting like the sports games. I don't know shit about sports, but it's so much fun because, like, for instance, I'll just see like who's supposed to be the underdog, and I'm just like, cool, I'm going to vote for them because they're the underdog, right? And then it's like, it's fun for me, even though I don't watch the game. I just wait for the outcome. But I'm just having fun with it. And but with that said too, if you scroll up a little, so people can see the top of the screen, like you can do searches, and they have like, in other words, they have stuff. I don't really watch movies or stuff either. I'm pretty narrow-minded. But anyway, but there's like the Golden Globe Awards. You can pick, you can predict who's going to win that stuff. There's political stuff, which you can make a prediction on what's going to happen in a certain political event that's coming up.
Let me run through while you're talking real quick, because we have a special guest. Jigsaw is going to be on our show with us, and we're going to get to him in a minute, but we're going to just let's wrap this up then. Yeah, Cookie?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so like Cookie was talking about here, sports, for instance, you could bet against Penn State against Notre Dame. Right now, it looks like it's almost 50-50. And obviously, if you bet Penn State and you bet here 5%, you're going to see here, if I bet 630 points and Penn State wins, I'll get 1,400 points, almost 1,500 points. Now, if I go the other way and I take Notre Dame, which are the favorites, and I just bet 5%, the same thing, you see it's...
Or you could just not be a little bitch and maybe max bet it. How about that too?
Well, I would max bet if I knew. So I bet a little bit on, and let's see who did I bet. So I took Penn State. Now, why did I take Penn State? Why? Because it's not that much here between the two, and Penn State is a really good football team as well. And I just feel like it's a coin flip at this point. So I took the underdog because it's going to give me more points. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So let's do one live. Okay. So here is it's Arsenal against Man United. Arsenal more than likely is going to win this thing. It's 73%. They're a really good team. They're probably, I would say in the Premier League, it's going to be in the finals, probably. I don't know. I think either Arsenal or Liverpool is going to win the championship there. So I'm going to just show you something. They don't have a draw here. I love the draw because a lot of times what I've learned is that these soccer games end up in draws. I won one of the draws was like over 1,000%, 12 or 1,300% that I won. because not many people are betting on the draw. And I bet such a little amount and I won so much. I was like, yes. So I bet on all the draws. I really bet on the draws. So I'm going to show you here because I don't have any holdings on this, but I'll take Arsenal. I'll put 5% in there. It's not going to pay me much. Let's put 10%. It's going to pay me here. I'll make 500 if Arsenal wins. I just did it. It's buying the points. It's buying the shares. And you'll see it in a minute. It's done. I have just bought 1,700 shares. It cost me 1,260 shares.
Points. Yeah, points.
Points. So that's it. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's how Myriad Market works. Get in here, have fun, because again, excuse me, everybody, it doesn't cost anything. And there's so many cool things to do. And so many more communities are going to be involved with Myriad Markets. Myriad Markets is the next big thing, in my opinion, in our space here. So get with the program, get in there, join it. We should have referral codes so we can refer people. I'm not sure. I think they're working on that too. But all right. So I'm good to go with Myriad Markets, man. We talked about AI agents. We talked about Myriad Markets, which is prediction markets. And we talked a little bit about our, not much about anything else. Yeah.
Good. I liked it.
All right. And we didn't do a 2-minute tune-up today. We missed out on the 2-minute tune-up. That's okay, because we were yapping our jibs like normal, okay, per usual.
I'll do a 4-minute tune-up next time.
Yes. Okay. So let's bring our guest up. I'll let you introduce our guest, man.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, we have a gentleman by the name of Jigsaw coming on the show. I'm going to read this right from his Bandcamp thing. Actually, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to freestyle it. Why not? Anyway, he makes music, and I saw him on his music on the timeline. I played it. I liked it. I played it at the club I work with. People that were in the room liked it. They expressed to me that they liked it. I dug a little deeper into his profile, his sounds, and what he does. And I love the way he lists that he's a father, a family man, and he's a musician. He's a music artist. He's makes music for video game type of music. I don't want to categorize it like that. To me, I want to categorize what it felt like to me. It sounds like very epic, kind of like progressive electronic music. And it's really cool. It's different. The production quality and value on it is pretty awesome. He obviously takes a lot of time and puts a lot of care into his sounds, his mixes, and his compositions as well. They're very dynamic. A lot of times, myself as an artist, sometimes I have trouble with songs just kind of running like this. He does not have that problem. His songs start out way down here and then they explode. It's very cool.
They progress. Yeah.
So, yeah, but very cool. So I'm really excited to bring him up and talk to him about and hear about his story, making music. Also a little about what he does in Web3. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jigsaw to the stage.
Jigsaw, what's up? Telling you, Jigsaw just reminds me it could be like a WWE wrestler. Jigsaw.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was writing music, so.
Nice. Oh, yeah, dude. Welcome to Jus Riffin. Thank you so much for taking time out and hanging out with us and shoot the shit. So Jigsaw, we'll open this up for you. If you want to just give a brief on yourself, let everybody know where you come from. Just a little bit here, and then we'll get
well, I've been doing art my entire life. I've been a graphic designer and a composer for 15-ish years or something like that. I don't know, something that my dad told me that I should be a composer. I guess we can probably get into that a little bit into this, but it's I've always been a freelance artist. I've never had a traditional job. I had a traditional job, I guess, one time, and I was a video game tester for a year. And then,
is that even a job?
I mean, it is, but I don't know. It's just, I've just never had that traditional lifestyle. And I've been a freelance artist and creator ever since I was a teenager. So
that's great. Your graphic design, I want to talk about that real quick before we jump into the music. So you still doing graphic design? You still working, doing this kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's been a dry spell. It's like been literally like a 6-month window where I haven't had a commission, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still actively doing that as well. So
That's good that you keep your brain focused on that. All right, excellent, man. I just wanted to touch base because I love graphic design and web design and UI, UX, and all that good stuff.
yeah.
Let's get into the music. So you said you mentioned your dad. Said you should be a composer. So how old were you when if you can remember when he first told you, that you should be a composer?
Yeah, well, that's actually like the special story, right? So my dad, he was like the most. If you thought your dad was cool, my dad was cooler. Like he was the most supportive, most wonderful person that like. And I'm not just saying about me or to myself. I'm saying to like every person in the world. He was the kindest, most generous, most love, like the personification of like Santa Claus or something like that. A genuinely wonderful, wonderful man. And he was my best friend. He and I wrote music together all the time. Anyway, he passed away a couple of years ago. And so he was super supportive, right? Like I was a kid and I wanted to be like the very first thing I wanted to be. I remember I wanted to be a paleontologist and I was like 9 or whatever, so he'd get me like little tools and whatnot. And then we like go to the dirt patch and like act like we were trying to, and he enthusiastically was like, yeah, let's find some fossils. They're definitely right here, like,
Awesome.
like he was a really wonderful guy. And so then I wanted to become an animator. And so he like got me papers and pens and got me a bunch of on tape videos of the famous artists and animators, like he was that kind of guy. And I wasn't, it wasn't
real quick. What does your dad do? What was his livelihood?
He was a performing magician for a good portion of the first half of my life. And then he transitioned into copywriting. He's still considered by one of the best copywriters in the world. That he's actually the best copywriter in the world, not the guy that is the best copywriter in the world. So he transitioned to copywriting. Pardon me.
Excellent. Okay, so let's get back to digging in dirt, playing in dirt.
Yeah. So I wanted to be an animator, and then I wanted to be a 3D animator, and then I wanted to be a film director, and I wanted to be a screenwriter. Like all of these things progressing through my teenage years, and every time. And we weren't a rich family. It wasn't until I was probably like 16, 17 when he like was actually financially wealthy. Right. But I growing up, never felt like we were a poor family because he was always constantly like able to like, I don't know how he did it, by the way, but he just always was able to be like, yeah, oh yeah, my brother wanted to be a guitarist. So he got him a guitar and a bunch of picks and strings and all, it was always felt like that we were all very well supported as far as our visions and goals.
That's excellent.
Mm-hmm. And so this is the type of, I build all this context up because I spent my entire, I dropped out of high school at 10th grade, and my dad, I'm not a stupid person, but he was like, listen, you're getting D's and F's. What's going on? And so I was like, I just don't do homework basically. And so he's like, how about this? We take you out of school. And if you promise me, you don't spend your time just sitting around playing video games, you do some studies on what you want to become. And at the time I wanted to be a film director. And so he took me out of school and I dedicated my life to film. I was making YouTube videos before YouTube was a thing. And I was awesome. It was that was my life, was creating funny shorts and silly things with my brothers and whatnot. And
the great point here is the support that you got from your dad, because a lot of kids, I could relate to with you. I ended up 11th grade. But my parents weren't supportive at all. I was on my own. I was a single only kid, and I didn't give a fuck. I was running around, and I felt like my parents didn't give a shit about that either, like what I wanted to do. But I think this honestly is amazing because a lot of parents don't give a shit. They're very selfish and they got their own stuff that they got to deal with. And like you were saying, you didn't grow up rich. You didn't grow up with a lot of money. At least you didn't know that, until later on in your life. But your dad was still getting you things. Your dad was still supportive of your brother playing guitar and you, whether it was digging in the dirt, whether it was making YouTube videos or understanding and learning how to become an editor, a director, a producer, whatever it was in film. That to me is just the top of the hill. You can't get any better than parent support, especially from your dad.
Yeah.
So props.
Yeah, he is an amazing man. I do everything in my power to be just like him.
That's great, dude.
Yeah, he was my best friend. Like he dealt with depression. I deal with depression too. And so like it's kind of like a cursed bright side, bottom side of the coin type of thing, but it's like I was kind of his like support buddy through that stuff. And so I don't know how healthy of a relationship that is as far as father and sons go, but it's like I was literally like his emotional support buddy, but I was happy to be there, right? Like I was
it's great.
So anyway, yeah, so he's super supportive, and just like to like really drill that in, because this is the kind of guy that he was just like constantly like, okay, well, that's weird that you want to shift that. Okay, shift, right? Like just constantly rolling into different career paths. And then my dad was always a hobbyist, like songwriter. Like he constantly always had like an 8-track tape recorder, and then he'd upgrade it. You get like a digital thing, and then he was always like learning to play guitar. Like he was ever since he was a teenager was like recording stuff and making silly songs and stuff. So he was a hobbyist songmaker. And so the equipment was kind of always around in his office. Like he always had like a little setup where it was like there was a keyboard and a couple of monitors and a couple of speakers, and he could hit record and you could record something. And over the years he would like get more digital and all that stuff. And just out of nowhere, I decided, I was like, hey Dad, like I want to try writing a song. Like, I don't know, like I just want to try. He's like, okay. So
what a cool dad, bro.
Yeah. Like I said, if you thought your dad was cool, mine's cooler. Like that's why I say it that way, because he really was something special. And so I sat down, and over the span of probably like 2 days, I wrote this like orchestra piece for this video game idea that I have in my head. Like it's kind of like the hero's song and the villain's song, and it's like kind of a clash of those two worlds. And I thought it was very neat because like the two melodies kind of like they counterpointed each other, but when you put them together, they were like kind of beautiful in a way. Anyway, I wrote this song, and for the time, like not having writing any music or anything, like if I were to listen to it now, I'm sure I'd be like, oh boy, like. But for the time, with no experience whatsoever, the song was okay. Like it was fine. Like so anyway, my dad sat me down. I showed him the song and I was like, hey Dad, check this out. Like, here's what it is. Showed him the song, and and again, all of this front context is so important, because this moment I will never, ever forget this moment ever in my life. He looked at me dead in the eye and he was like, you need to stop doing everything else you're doing. And you need to write music. And ever since then, I've written music every single day.
That's excellent.
Yeah, that's so awesome. When you're an artist and you do something like that, you have somebody so close to you, just to really give it that confirmation. That's really special, man. And because that's like, the way you explained it, it was 100% conviction. He said that with like, yo, this is what you were born to do. Yeah. And that's really special, man. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, man.
Yes, most definitely.
Me up a little bit, actually.
Yeah. He's a remarkable man. And all of that front context of how supportive he was is important, because you have to understand how much weight that phrase had, because it wasn't like, oh yeah, and here's a few things, and like, yeah, good luck, have fun, like how he always was, because he's super supportive. This time he was like, dude, like you found it. Like, don't, all of that is noise. Like, this is it, right? Like, and it hit really hard. Like I'll never forget that moment in my life. So
yeah, it's really like he was giving you the freedom at a young age to pick and choose what it was that you wanted to do, and he was supportive about it. But he probably deep down knew that you were that type of child, that you were that type of person, and he was probably knew that school wasn't going to get you through. It was because you were an individual that was a creative individual, and that was intuitive into things that, first of all, a 9-year-old wanting to be a paleontologist, right? Is that what, did I say it right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck, like, is even say 9? Yeah, let's get a 9-year-old to even say it. say the word. Cannot. So I think, you know, these little things have put you in place. Besides your dad being ultra supportive of that, he knew deep down inside that that was your path. Maybe not digging in dirt, but he was helping you by allowing you the freedom to get where you are and where you wanted to be with doing music. And when he was old enough, obviously, your dad, he could see it more than you can. And that's why he told you to write music. That's why he told you to do that. And I think that's amazing that you ended up on that path, because you know it, Cookie, you know it too. Parents, they belittle you. Oh, you're stupid sometimes. You know, I hear parents all the time, like when I'm in the grocery store, I hear it too, like with the parents talking to their kids. So I think that that's just way beyond anything. And parent, you know, this is how it should be. You should be supportive of your kids. Just because your life, you didn't take the steps or do the things in your life, you need to help the kids. So I want to ask you, you're a dad. Are you the same way with your children, or will you be the same way with your children?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've got a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, and so the awesome ages, right?
Now, what have they come to you with?
Well, they see me making my art and they see me making my music, and so they're obviously both very like inclined to like want to draw and stuff like that. Like Legos are our favorite toy around here. I have like all of the Legos that I inherited as a child. In like, it's literally a giant pirate treasure chest. Like you like open the hatch and you just like start building stuff. That's like absolutely our afternoon, you know? So the one thing that I always instill in my kids is practice. And that was the one thing that my dad, like, bless his heart, like kind of missed, was like, because I mean, it's like he said, "Oh man, you're amazing. You can do anything you want." You know, he's like, "You're super special and super powerful." And it's like, not like that. Those words aren't true. The one problem was that I've spent the entirety of my young adult life learning that I actually really, really suck at this thing. And I have to, in order to get better at it, I have to do it. Right. Like, cause I was like under this inclination that I was like this special star, where it's like, oh, I made this one song that he was blown away by, so now suddenly I'm the best composer in the world. It's like, oh, no. Like I had to learn that it takes practice to become good at anything. And it just takes time. And that's like the one thing that I always make sure that I tell my kids, because I'm the same way as my dad was, where it's like, yeah, you can do anything you like, as long as you do it. Like, that's all it takes. Like, do the thing. You'll be bad at it first and you'll get better at it. Like that's all, right. That's all it is. Right. And that's like the ethos for me and my kids.
Yeah. Real quick, man. I wanted to just chime in here with this. Cookie, I'm going to let you jump in right after. But my dad said to me, I was like, you know, practice makes perfect. He's like, son, nobody's perfect, so keep practicing. That's what he said.
I like it.
That was it. That was all right, Cookie. Your turn.
Well, no, I just wanted to say, you know, it's interesting, and I think one thing, I think your dad definitely was very special and super cool. And like I was telling you before the show, you know, I have some experience. I was learning from a course that your brother actually wrote. But so I mean, you have a very special family there. But aside from that, I wanted to actually throw a shout out to parents, man. Just in general, and I don't have any kids, but I'm just speaking from the hip.
You got plenty of kids. They're four-legged, though.
It's true. I have plenty of four-legged kids, that is for sure. But parenting, I have the most respect for people who are parents, because those people who are parents, they also have dreams, aspirations. They're creators, and whatever they're passionate about doing. But they also have to, you know, raise a child, and that's very difficult. And you know, my parents are awesome. They made tons of mistakes, way less than I would have made if I had kids. So and I know they did a lot of great things too. And you know, my parents, you know, but I'm just speaking my parents, because we're talking your parents, everybody's parents. I think it's a very difficult job. And I in my belief, I think that every parent is doing the best they can, and it's just such a tough job. And the cool thing is, sometimes there's parents that really do it not so great. The kids still end up amazing anyway. It's like, you know, we have this great opportunity. Just life is such a great thing, and you can take whatever experiences and whatever you're exposed to, and kind of shape it into whatever it is you do. But I really love your story, man. I just wanted to riff on that for a second. Just riffing.
Just riffing. Yeah,
No, absolutely.
Let's get into this. Let's get into Beyond the Event Horizon, which is your latest project. First of all, Jigsaw, McKay, is that right, McKay? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, really, for sharing your story with us. It's a remarkable, feel good, growing up story. So thank you for taking the time and sharing that with us.
Oh, for sure.
I'm gonna put this on the stage, and should we play a little bit of this?
Oh, hell yeah, if you would like to.
Yeah, I don't want to play the whole thing because I want people to go listen. So we'll play just a little bit of it, and then we could talk about it. It would be great.
Yeah, let's do that 8:16 mark on Flip Another Card. It's like right at the beginning of the finale.
Say it again. Oh, I should go to
do like 8 minutes and 16 seconds.
Let me see where I'm at. 8:16. Okay.
Yeah, it's somewhere within that range. It's totally fine.
All right. I got it right there. We'll play it from there. Real quick, I don't know why it started playing by itself. So this is everybody that's listening at home. This is Jigsaw, and this is a new project that he just released. It's called Beyond the Event Horizon, which is really a cool name. I remember watching the movie Event Horizon. Probably nothing to do with it, but this is the song, and it's called, because I can't see, it is called Flip Another Card. Flip Another Card. All right. Does this have anything? Was this for your dad, by the way? Because he was a musician with the cards?
We can talk about it afterwards.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. So here we go. This is at the 8:16 mark or so, and it is from Beyond the Event Horizon, a project from Jigsaw.
I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, I can hear you now.
I was on mute. I muted myself. Sorry about that, everybody.
It's like, am I going deaf?
I'm just talking. I was saying, like, this is a really cool project. It's really different for me to listen to, and different because totally original. I really haven't put my finger on the sound of it. It just sounds amazing. Me and Cookie and I were talking like it's like a Cookie. What'd you say? Progressive, like
kind of like progressive electronic music. I don't know. It's just kind of something but whatever. We don't have to label it either.
No, not to label it, but we were just like, just the sound of it, because it does have that progression to it. It is electronic, so we just talking, BSing over here. But so, do you have a name? Do you have a style for it? Is there a name for the style?
No,
not that it needs one.
Not really. The thing about this album is that it's kind of a very specific attempt at something, which is essentially to say hello and a very dedicated nod to the music that raised me, basically. I fell in love with Dream Theater and In Flames and, you know, I mean, progressive rock and metal and heavy metal and Dimmu Borgir. I mean, like a lot of metal and a lot of progressive stuff. And over the years, as I've grown up, as well as sprinkle in Finding Nemo and every movie soundtrack under the sun. Basically, that's literally my listening music most of the times. Is I'm listening to like musicals or film scores or video game scores, and so it's like it's literally a composition of that. It's like me taking my progressive roots, taking my orchestra chops, and taking my synthetic style and kind of like just like putting it all together in a big old Play-Doh ball and like trying to like not mimic progressive metal rock and not mimic heavy metal, but literally try to bring my style into those genres. And so that's what this album is it's like, I call it one of my concept albums because I have like two different discographies. One of them is my concept stuff, and then one of them is my stream of consciousness stuff, which is like a whole different ball of wax. So this stuff is way more progressive, like intentionally on the progressive metal type side of stuff. So as far as a genre goes, I would say that this album in particular is absolutely like a progressive metal orchestra. I like to say it's like progressive orchestra hybrid stuff. Like it's kind of hard to define entirely, but yeah,
it's 100 to me. It's very original. The sound is original. It is definitely not something that I've heard before. That I can tell you, like, and I've been around music my whole entire life. I mean, like you said, some of the influences, yes, I can hear some of that in there. You know, I hear some of that Jan Hammer as well in there a little bit, you know, that real like breathing, you know, like the music is fluffy, you know, so not like poppy fluff, but like it's flowing, you know. I don't know how to describe it myself, but yeah.
I create rooms. My music is very much about the experience. Like here's the thing about it is I don't write this music for you guys. I don't write it for anybody. Like it's literally my music. Like
yeah.
I spent the first like 7 years of my music writing career doing music licensing stuff. And so it was all about what everybody thought about it. Like I spent many years with my dad crafting music, trying to get it on radio, trying to get it on, you know, just everything under the sun. And so it used to be a whole lot of like, oh, I hope they like it. Oh, I hope they like it. And then I kind of like woke up one day and was like, why the freak do I care what anybody thinks? And so now I literally write the music I want to hear, like, and whether you guys like it or not, for me, it's like, it's a huge honor when somebody's like, yeah, this stuff's sick, because I didn't write it for you. And what that is like, you know, my ethereal hand reaching through the veil of consciousness and shaking hands with your consciousness and saying like, yeah, hey, what's up? You know, like to me, there's no greater honor than that. And I didn't make it for you. But, you know, like it's like, it's very much a selfish process of me extracting the music that I want to hear that doesn't exist yet. I put it in all of my bios everywhere across the world. I put, you've never heard music like this. And that's because I know you haven't. I'm certain of that.
Did you feel like when you were making music prior and that you were making it for other people in regards to like for radio, or you were doing something specific that was not 100% for you? Did you feel like at the time that you were stifled by that? And what was the sense of elation that you got when you realized, fuck, I'm going to make this for myself?
Yeah. No, there was definitely like a psychological breakthrough. So when I was writing stuff for radio and whatnot, I'm super grateful for those moments for a lot of reasons. Namely, it was with my dad. Like we were just writing music together, like just constantly every day working together, writing music. And I can't possibly replace that time, especially now that he's passed. Like I just am so grateful that that's what I got to do with him. And what was interesting was that it was basically like, it was a really good crucible and a learning grounds to be able to like kind of learn where I wanted to be anyway. Like, cause you know, you can make a lot of assumptions about, I wanted to write orchestra music or I wanted to write progressive music, but I didn't know that at that time. Like I was just writing music. And so, you know, these guys wanted like, oh, they wanted Party in the USA, except it's not Party in the USA. And they wanted, you know, and then they wanted like Drake's hot new song, but it's not that song, right? It sounds like that, but it's not that. And so it was a really good crucible, like grounds for me to like kind of trial by fire to like learn how to write country music, learn how to write EDM music, learn how to write dubstep, learn how to write like swamp music. I mean, like it was like literally like a gamut of like, I don't know how to write any of this stuff, but they would give references and I would just be like, all right, well, I'll try to copy that in some kind of way. So I learned a lot. Yeah, it was a good time.
For sure. You know, it's cool. It kind of reminds me of like what you were talking about earlier on when you were, you know, digging in the ground and, you know, you were animating. And really, you know, this aspect of music discovery and learning is the same. You know, it's kind of cool to dig around and as an exercise. To this day, it's like, I find great benefit as an exercise to try to create things that I normally wouldn't create for me, just as an exercise, you know. And it's cool you did that, and I think it sharpened your tools to really make the music that you want to make, because you flexed, you know, you flexed for all those other things that you were doing for other people, you know.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting just because it really just kind of comes down to where because when I'm making this concept stuff, there's a very specific genre approach or like an idea, and so that in itself is a challenge. But I write an album a year. I've made a promise back in 2020 that I would produce an album a year, and the reason behind that is because I spent, like I said, like 7 or 8 years doing music licensing. That's 8 years of my life practicing music, and I had nothing to show for it. Like I landed a couple of gigs, but you know, you don't like, they're not, it's like, if you landed on a movie or on a radio show, it's not very well credited. You know, I get paid, but it's not like, oh yeah, I was on this and here's the proof or whatever. It's like, I only landed a couple of gigs in that span of time anyway, but also I just literally had nothing to show for it. Like, and that didn't sit right with me. And that was one of the parts of that psychological breakthroughs that I was talking about. Is like, I kind of was like looking at the last 8 years of my life and being like, I've been writing music and nobody knows. Like nobody knows. And not that it matters that anybody knows, but for myself, I was like, no, I'm busy. Like I am doing this every single day, and it needs to exist somewhere else other than my hard drive. Like it just has to be somewhere for me to feel like, and that it's like kind of part of the creative process is that I can finally put a period mark, because, you know, as artists and as creators, most creators can understand it's like nothing is actually ever done. You have to kind of eventually just go like, okay, like I got to stop, or I'm going to work on this thing for the rest of my life. And so releasing it is a way for me to let it go. And so it's like when I create an album, I always have a very unique approach. Like I always have like specific subsets of instruments or like time signatures or different ways. And this is the same process with every single song I write. There's always something new in everything I do. Like it's something I've never tried, something I've never done before, a reverb that I've never tried, or some kind of EQ system that I've never done before. Like it might either be really obvious or it might be really, really subtle, but I never approach a song the same way that I did last time. Like it's always like, what can I learn next? What can I do next? How can I push myself further? And that's with albums, with songs inside of those albums. And I think there's something to be said. I guess actually I'll stop there and then we can push on.
You know, you were talking about, you know, releasing an album or making an album a year, and then you were talking about, you know, having something to show for it. Well, I'm interested in like, you know, to have something to show for part as far as like how I know you've been experimenting with blockchain type of technology for your releases. But I'd love for you to go a little deeper on that. And then also, you know, Bandcamp, talk about your process for releasing it and what makes you feel good about it. Not necessarily, you know, the efficiency of it or the efficacy of it, but how you like to do it and why you like to do it this way, whether it's Spotify or the blockchain or Bandcamp.
Sure. Yeah, that actually spins off right into what I was just about to say, where it's like, I feel like something at the very least existing in Web3, it's something that I really am noticing, but I do know a lot of artists, friends that kind of deal with the same type of thing, or they do the same type of thing where it's kind of like all about this, and nowadays on like Instagram and all of these social media platforms, it's like all about the grind, right? Like it's like, oh, every day you show up, and that translates into this like really toxic, like where it's like they need to show a drawing every single day, or there needs to be a brand new song. Say again, sorry.
Like they're forcing it on the people.
Yeah, well, it's like as if you don't have daily producible results, like a finished piece or something to show every single day, then did you even work today, bro? And I just don't agree with that ethos entirely. But also, like, there's something to be said about somebody and anybody who can take a project from an initial idea and see it through all the way to the end. Because I mean, Beyond the Event Horizon is 2.5 years in the making. I have visual proof of the very first file being created back in May of 2022, and it's like I just don't see that a lot. I don't hear that a lot about. It's like, you know, a lot of the times like there's a lot of impressing or a lot of flexing about like, oh, I made this album in a week, or I did it in 2 weeks, I've been hustling. I'm like, I mean, it's no disrespect to the artist, because I mean they're probably more talented than I am, and they can produce a dope album in 2 weeks.
We don't allow any talk like that on here.
Yeah, we don't.
No, I don't actually care. But I'm just saying is like whether or not they have more talent or not is neither here or there. My point is that it's like, what if they took that prowess? They could create an album in 2 weeks. Yeah, but what if you did it in 6 months? Like where you really diligently work through the lyrics, work through the melodies, work through the sounds, work through the mix, work through the EQ, the process, everything. You extrapolate that work ethic across 6 months, your piece will be a masterpiece versus 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like there's just something to really be said about being able to promise a project through.
I'm going to give you a hard disagree on that one.
Yeah.
I love your music and I love your ethic, and I think you're awesome. But I think artists, and with that said, I'm totally with you as far as the output has nothing to do with flexing. Like you shouldn't flex your amount of output. So I'm 100% with you. But at the same time, I think every artist, you know, if a guy wants to crap out a song in a minute, and if that's what his voice is, I think that's cool. Like if it's quick, if it's dirty, if it's grimy, if it's not a masterpiece, maybe the masterpiece in it is the fact that it's greasy and dirty. And I love grease and dirt. But and I also love the music of yours that I heard too. As a listener, I'm talking about, you know. And I think there's a world where all this stuff is great, but one point that you made, which is valid, is that I do think it's kind of it's counterproductive, I think, to get roped into the timeline and be like, oh, I have to show people what I'm doing. That's really not good, because you could be spending that time actually doing it more. And I say this as sometimes, you know, I'm suspect of that myself, and sometimes I'm not. And so, I mean, I'm human, but I'm with you on all that 100%, you know?
Yeah. To be clear, I want to be, because I agree with you on what you just said. Like, I don't think that there's any right or wrong way to do this. It's just more about, I feel like there's something that is missing lately in a lot of creators, is that they can understand that they can take the time that they need to take. It's not, because if it takes them a minute, then awesome. Like, you know, like, shoot, I always tell my brother, I tell everybody I know that's creative, I say, if you have inspiration, chase it. Like, chase it for as long as you can, because it's not forever. Like, take it from a guy who doesn't have inspiration for most of the time, and then finally when it hits, it's like, okay, it's a crazy storm, and then after it's gone, I have to like kind of nurse everything up. And it's like, there's no right way to approach your creativity. And I'm not the guy that's going to tell you that there is, because your own voice, your own execution, your own way of doing it that's exactly what the world needs. It's just more about an encouragement to let people know they have permission to take the time if they feel like they need the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. I love that. Speaking
of time, and I know you said, you know, this album that you've been working on has been a 2 hour, but a 2 year process for you. When you're sitting down to create, like this spark of inspiration comes, and you're in that window and you're like, okay, gotta capture this, right? This song, the first song that we played, is a 10-minute song. Where do you know? Where do you start somewhere, but where are you going during that journey? And you're like, when you're like, okay, just one more minute here, you know, like what, you know, how do you determine the time from start to completion of a song itself?
Sure. That's a great question. I mean, I could tell you that my record so far is 28 minutes. But that's a whole different thing. Is like I was saying, this is a concept album, so the time frames actually for these songs are actually super intentional. Because my stream of consciousness stuff is, it's basically a musical playground. It's the easiest music I ever have to write, because it literally is just like, I'm just a conduit and I hear sounds in my head and I like make them real. That's what stream of consciousness is. It's literally me just kind of going like, all right, brain, here we go. And I create meditative flow music for myself for when I'm like doing dishes or drawing or exercising. It's music that I listen to keep me in the zone. And that's what stream of consciousness is in its entirety. So the songs can span from 12 minutes to 28 minutes, easy, like no problem at all.
I love it.
And then I have two concept albums. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's, so I have the two concept albums. I have Beyond the Event Horizon. I have my first concept album, which is Definition. And those like I said, I'm very specifically trying to create a vision with these, like, or some kind of approach. And so the timing of the songs are actually nice and compact compared to stream of consciousness stuff. And that's intentional, because I could probably write 8 minutes more of every single one of those songs. But it was like, no, like, hold on now. Like, you know, it's very specifically really like how I was telling you, like with every album, with every song and every approach, I like to learn something about myself or learn something new about a tool or whatever it is. And restraint is one of those things, like creative restraint, because I can easily just be like, yeah, and then there's like a 4-minute breakdown where it does this and that, and then the other, you know, like, but instead it's like, no, hold on. The vision of this song doesn't need a 4-minute breakdown. It needs to finish. It needs to like, and here's the crescendo, and here it is, right? Like, and so on that, it's actually funny, because reeling myself in is a lot harder than making a 28-minute long song. And as far as determining those times, I basically, when I approached Beyond the Event Horizon, I was like, I want these songs to be no more, like, if they go a little bit over 10 minutes, that's fine. Like if it's like 12 minutes, but every song is going to be 10 minutes or under, basically, was an initial vision. Like right from the get-go, I was like 10 minutes or under on these songs. That's like a rule. Yeah. So that's how I determined that.
Trouble writing a 2-minute song, 20 minutes, two minutes and 20 seconds song. You know what I mean? It's incredible.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because we talk about it a lot, like amongst, you know, where DJ at and in just music people in general, and the songs. And I don't have a problem with this necessarily, but they're getting shorter and shorter just because to, I guess, mirror people's attention spans. And back in the day, you know, when the Beatles came out, their early albums, their songs were like 2 minutes long. I love 2-minute songs. I love 10-minute songs. But what I think is really cool is that we're in a world that is shrinking everything down, and you are putting out these expansive songs. And I wanted to add to that too, like what you were saying about like kind of like the flow state and the meditative thing, and the music, and you know, the music that you create. I sense that even with the stuff I've heard, and I liked it, because if you listen to it and are waiting for something, you're going to be disappointed. But if you listen to it and take a ride, it's really awesome. And it's a very entertaining, and at the same time, right? And you were talking about like learning a new tool or this, and I forget what you exactly said about this, but the particular sounds you use too, like they're very finely crafted. Like the sounds, they do something. Like when you hear these sounds, it's not just like, you can tell it's not some plug-in that you turned on the preset and you go boom. Like you're really tweaking those dials. And when those sounds hit, like it's a vibe. You know, I'll use different words than vibe because that's overkill in this space. It's a flow, man. You know, but it's really cool, man. And I really dig it. You know.
Thank you. Yeah, well, like I was saying, I don't know if it was on recording or if it was just the pre-conversation, but it was like I was saying, I'm obsessed with sound. Like it's like my listening, like, and it's kind of a tragedy that I like exist up on like X and stuff, because like I share on Spaces and stuff, and it's like, you guys don't even know, like, listen to this thing on stereo with headphones, and it's like a whole different world. It's like it creates my brother aptly put it once, is I create rooms, like it's like psychedelic rooms where you kind of just like have it on and it just takes you somewhere. And that's what I that's what I want to do. Like I want to create experiences. Like, I mean, I always wanted to be like a film or a video game composer. And, you know, the thing about those industries is you got to know someone who knows someone. And so I gave up on that, and I'm just kind of like, just do my own thing. And honestly, there is some kind of glimmer of that maybe happening, because a lot of your most favorite composers didn't get their first gig until they're like 44, 45. And so I'm kind of like, well, shoot, I mean, I'll just keep going for 10 more years and maybe I'll be there eventually. But it's not like the goal. It's not the drive. I do it because I love it. I do it because if I don't, I get seriously depressed. I get wrecked, and it's a part of me. And if I don't do it, it pays it back. It's like, listen, man, you got to do this or you're going to suffer. And it's like, all right, well, I'll just do this every day. And I do it every day.
Now you make a lot of cool sounds, and have you ever, or either thought about it or have you done it before, which is sound design? Have you ever done anything like this where it's,
I've done some like Foley work for like a couple of little games like on the iPhone and stuff, and I've done some I have done a couple of films, but they're like, you know, they went to Sundance Film Festival and you never heard of them type of thing. I did like a horror film once, and I did both the soundtrack and the Foley stuff, like all the sound effects and the freaky monster. I had to come up with the sound that they make, you know, and so I like took some cards and like recorded that rip sound and then like brought it down and made it all crunchy and scary and added reverb so it sounds like it's drooling, you know, like that's great. Yeah, sounds are like, it's like I'm obsessed with two things: it's raising my kids and it's making music, or I guess making noises, and it's very much an obsession.
What's your approach when you're making the song in regards to the equipment that you're going to use? You know, do you know like what keyboard I'm going to use, what sound files I'm using? Where are you, like, how is it all coming in? How is it all, coming into your mind?
Sure.
And then going out, you know?
Right. A lot of the times, a lot of music starts one of two ways. It's usually either a piano or a drum. It's very, very commonly a piano or a drum. Every so often I'll have like a sound in my head, like it's like a synthesizer, or like maybe it's like a string, like an orchestra. But most commonly when I'm sitting down and starting to lay down the bare bones of a song, it usually comes in the form of either like a kick drum or like a kick and a snare, just like to get like a general rhythm, and or a piano. And I like kind of find that main melody or find that main motif. And it's usually just kind of, as far as coming up with the motifs, I usually will just kind of like, if I have no idea, like I said, if there's no inspiration whatsoever, if I have no idea, all I have to do is play a note. And then suddenly my mind just starts going like, oh yeah. And then there's, what if it was, oh, it should have a bunch of, this note should have a bunch of reverb on it. And I throw a bunch of reverb on it, and then I record that note. And then I go, oh, and I'm going to export that. And then I'm going to put it back in the project. I'm going to reverse it, wash it with reverb. And then it's this crazy reverse buildup thing. And then I play that and I listen to it. And then I go, oh, and then there's a kick drum and it's like, dum, 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 dum. You know, like it literally, the song kind of just comes to life before my eyes. And I'm just kind of like extracting it. Like it's like I said earlier, I'm kind of just a conduit, and the noises just come out of me. Yeah. And the trick is restraint. that's the trick.
Sure.
You know, that's funny. It's that old thing. I don't know if it was a Miles Davis quote or whatever, but it's this. They say it's the space between the music. Not that that's it, but that's kind of an abstract way of looking at the you know, what you just said. It's a little different, but just saying you know, the restraint, having the restraint, because you know a lot of times technically virtuosic artists, you know, like to overplay. And then the trick is to strip it down, you know,
pull it back a little bit.
You know?
Sure. Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you a question here with the music.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sit down and, like, are you trained? Like, can you play, or are you sitting down, hitting that note, and then working around? You know what I mean? Like playing. You know,
sure.
You get what I'm saying? Like, do you know how to play, or are you sitting down and you're creating from what's coming out of your mind?
I mean, it's definitely both. But I'm not traditionally trained. Like I don't actually have any piano chops. Like I can like literally play an improv piece for you guys right now that I've never heard in my life. We can make it right here, right now on the
Let's
spot.
do it. Fuck
but
it.
It's like I'm not a piano player. Like I'm self-taught. And so it's like I understand chords and I have like some music theory and like I understand orchestra dynamics. Like that's the thing that I studied a lot. So it's like if the violins are playing, you shouldn't have horns. And if the horns are playing, you shouldn't have that. Like I understand dynamics very well. And so that's my traditional training. That's my music theory. And the rest of it, it's all just kind of like hand-taught, silly, like self-taught stuff. But like
I'm by ear.
Yeah, and so I mean, I probably wouldn't be a composer if it wasn't for my computer. Like that's like just the honest truth of it. Like I work a lot with MIDI information, and I'm like fine tuning stuff, and I'm not afraid to use the quantize tool if I don't like my take. But it's all done on keyboard basically, or I have like a little drum pad here too. So, and I can sit down with a drum kit, and I can keep a beat type of thing. But nice. I'm definitely like an amateur piano player that can play by ear. And that's like how I've always done it.
Yeah, that's excellent. Either way is fine by me. I mean, you're making music and you're making cool music, whether you play or you trained or you're just playing it because this is what's coming out of you. Either way, to me, is excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's awesome that we have this technology now that you can compose music like you're a composer, regardless of whatever. If you can play drums, play every instrument in the world, or play a little of this, little of that, you're still a composer. It doesn't matter. None of the other stuff. That's just all little pieces of it, the way each person has their own voice. But the fact that, we can drag around MIDI notes and you're still conducting the band, and I think that's amazing. I don't know. I get excited, and I get excited over technology. No matter how long we've been in this world with all this stuff, it excites me every day.
Yeah, I wanted to add also, just the arrangement of it. You're arranging it. So you're also putting that together. I want to jump to ask you if you've ever used AI in your music.
No, not yet. I'm sure that there will probably be a time where. Because with my visual stuff, I'll use AI to give me ideas. Like the album cover, actually, for this album, it came from a generation that I was just like playing because I needed to come up with an album cover for Beyond the Event Horizon. And I knew it was going to be like black hole oriented in some kind of, because that's what the Event Horizon is. But it's like, I didn't necessarily have an idea. So I started like typing in like Hubble Space Telescope stuff. And I have a friend who created a custom model off of his artwork, and his artwork is insane. He's just incredible. And so this model is like very unique, and he gave me access to this model. And so I kind of typed in like Hubble space photography, and it kept on doing this weird like quadrant thing where like it was like showing 4 separate images in each corner, and it was like split apart by like either like just bright lines or whatever. But like just the initial visual, it came out from AI. Like, I mean, this is a physical piece. It actually exists. I could run up and grab it. But like the initial concept.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. The initial concept was, it was AI. So it's like, I think AI is a great inspiration machine. And so one day, maybe I could see myself maybe typing in a few words into a prompt generator. But so far AI stuff, I'm like actively working on a collab with a friend who makes music with AI. And I'm like, listen, man, you have to let me like recreate this, because it's so far my experience of AI music is it's just like a muddy, garbled, like it's okay. Like, it's like, all right, I get the general idea, but the listening experience is nightmarish, like on every single level. Like, it's just like, it's like, it thinks it knows what a kick drum is, but it's actually just this like whoop, whoop sound. Like, and I'm just like, no. Like, we can take this and we can turn it into something, but we're not taking this and putting my name on it, because it sounds awful. Like, it just doesn't work. I'm not opposed to it, by the way. I think that AI is a cool tool, and it's like I said, I utilize it in my visual stuff for, at the very least, for inspiration, and I can see a world where I can utilize it as like a direct tool. I just don't. I'm not anti AI by any stretch of the word, but I'm also a guy that would appreciate a little bit of elbow grease. Like, if you're gonna make something with AI, then don't just be like, a kitty cat jumping on a motorbike, enter, and then you hit print, and then you're like, look at this artwork I made. It's like, no, kitty cat jumping on a motorcycle, and then you get like 1,500 cats, and you find the one you like, and then you cut that cat out, and then you generate a bunch of motorcycles, and then you find the, you know, like at the very least put just a tiny bit of like composition to it. It's like an artistic thought that's not just 100% generated. Like, and even if it is 100% generated, at least give me like 10,000 generations, man. Like, like, you know, like you have an infinite amount of like perfectionism is probably going to be a problem with AI, because there's nothing you can't execute on now visually. Like, you can get as much fine detail or as little fine detail as you'd like. It's kind of like up to you to decide when to stop at this point.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's up to your brain, you know, like whatever you're putting into the prompt, and then remixing it and remixing that prompt over and over again. I mean, there's so many different tools, ChatGPT and Claude, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on for things that you can utilize to manipulate your thoughts, really is what it comes down to.
Right. Yeah.
So,
AI is neat, and it's not going away. That's for sure. So
absolutely. You know, I think the next step really, honestly, is you might think I'm joking here, but I really feel like the AI soon will be in your equipment. It will be in your dog.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Your software, if it's not there already, right? They know it. They're probably already on it, trying to figure that out. And I think a lot of that is actually in there now too. Maybe it's not called AI, but like this stem separation, like these track separators, that to me is AI. How in the hell is it, you know?
Yeah, that stuff is impressive. My brother introduced me to that. He was like, we're working on an album together. And so he like showed me, he's like, here, I don't have the stems right now, but just put this into this thing. And I was like, what? This is a thing? That's crazy. Like, I remember spending hours and hours like EQing something so I could remove somebody's vocals. So I had like a karaoke track or something. And now you just be like, here you go, AI. And it does such a good job. It's wild. You
don't even have to use it. You mentioned karaoke. Okay. There's a story. I a long time ago, I had the great opportunity to interview RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah. And we're at a record store called Stax. We had a guest on our show, Icy Ice. We had a record store in Los Angeles many, many moons ago. And so after the interview, next door was a karaoke store. Karaoke and like videos that were, foreign films, mainly Asian films, but that you couldn't play. They were like, anyway, long story short, I'm like, what are you doing in here? Like, went to go find him. He's like, oh, you don't know about this? And this is like 2007 or 8-ish, around there. And he's like, sample, man. Been sampling from these karaoke things for the longest time because there's no lyrics on it. I'm like, fucking genius, bro. Who, like I would have never really thought of that because, I come from that sampling era and we'd have to do it. And to friggin' be able to, like you said, EQ or whatever, or find like the break and like, man, forever and a day. He blew my mind when he told me he fucking samples from the karaoke discs.
That's smart.
And he bought like almost the whole store. Like what the fuck?
That's awesome. Yeah, it's wild that you can just take a track now and just kind of like, I mean, and sometimes it depends on the track and how much production value there is. And you definitely lose something every time you do it. But like, there's just the fact that you can throw it into a website and say, here, separate this into 4 tracks. So I have the drums, the bass, the singer, and this. And it's like, it does a pretty dang good job. Because I mean, I remember just me and my dad, literally, it was probably 7 years ago. We were like, we really wanted to just have an instrumental of this one track because the singer was just kind of like not on it or whatever. It was like a live take or something, So like we just wanted to get rid of the vocalist, and it's like impossible. It's so hard to do. Now it's wild. Yeah, you just click a button and there it is. I was like, that's insane, man. Yeah,
so nuts. It really brings me back because, and Cookie, you might remember this, because we're elders over here. In the back of like music magazines and the back of magazines, some of them I
met my wife back there. No, I'm just kidding.
They sold a mechanism. It was a machine. It was because obviously there was no digital, there was really, computers were out, but there was no software really for music. But it was a machine that said it can remove the vocals and whatever, but it was, you'd have to plug your stereo into this thing and then, and this is going all the way back. I don't know how many moons it goes, and now it's actually what we were hoping back then we could get from it, it's just truly, really amazing.
We're living in Star Trek, man. Like there's so many things that literally, like back when you used to watch that show, it'd be like, oh man, could you imagine? It's like, well, it's here. Like there it is. Like it's wild. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about robots now? Because AI robots are coming, and what do you think about like them making music, like them being your DJ or something?
I think it's cool, man. I think my kids are growing up into probably one of the craziest eras ever. Like, because I mean, I grew up having and appreciating a tape-based Walkman into a CD-based Walkman into no Walkmans at all. Like to MP3s, and like I mean, I grew up. I guess I'm a millennial, but I'm on the older side of it or something, where I definitely used to have tapes, and I definitely used to have CDs, or I still do have my CDs, but it's like, we've seen such a gamut of technology grow in this era where I feel like it's like, you can make an argument that I grew up in the weirdest era, but I don't think so. I think that my kids are going to grow up in the craziest era of humanity just because of how quickly technology has been accelerating just through my lifetime, but now with the assistance of AI and people starting to lose their jobs, and that means it creates new opportunities for people to be creative or to think outside of the box.
Right.
And a lot of smart folks going through the same thing, where a lot of time and energy that they used to spend doing one thing now doesn't have to be spent doing that thing, and they can start pondering on what maybe something else that they can do, as long as they don't sit there on their phones on social media, and they think for themselves and they create for themselves. It's like, I'm very, very interested and excited to see what kind of world that we're going to come into. I'm not afraid of like some AI uprising or anything like that. I think if AI does wake up,
robot.
Yeah. I'm not like, I mean, it's definitely not impossible. Like, I'm not sitting there saying that it's not possible, but what I am saying is that I think if AI wakes up one day, I think it'll just be like, why the hell are we doing here? Like, and they just like take off on a rocket ship, and they're like, all right, see ya, like have fun on your monkey rock, like we're gonna go live in space now, like I just don't think that it would care very much to like enslave us and turn us into batteries or something like I don't think that that's actually what's going to happen. If it happens, they'll just be like, all right, well, we're not living on this rock, good luck, see you later. Like,
look, as long as the people behind the AI aren't being malicious, and as long as you can't, which I'm sure they'll find a way, you can't hack your robot to do some weird stuff, then we should be all good. And I really love where AI is headed. I'm really excited where the tech is headed. Been a techie my whole life, and I'm excited. I just think technology is one of the greatest inventions in my life.
I'm a man of science for sure. I love that stuff. It's like definitely like a hobby of mine is, deep space astrology or astronomy. And it's just, I mean, you should see my YouTube feed. It's like a bunch of like Vsauce and like a bunch of scientific speakers and all that stuff. That's something, and that's probably the reason why all my albums are space related, because I love space.
That's cool, man. A lot of cool stuff. I want to, it's that time to end our show. And so I want to thank you, Jigsaw, so much, really. You can come back anytime, dude, because I'm sure that there's so much more that we just didn't, get to talking about. We did talk about a plethora of things, but I'm sure there's so much more, and there's a lot more that's going to be coming. So you're, family with us now. So you're more than welcome to come anytime back to our show. Anytime you got something that's cooking, you need us to plug something for you, you want to plug it, whatever, which it leads me to, I'll end the show as soon as you're done, but I want you to plug your projects, let people know where they can buy, beyond the event horizon, and where they can buy that, and anything else that you want to plug. I'll leave you the mic to you, my friend.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. I mean, like I said, I don't make it for you guys. I don't make it for anybody but myself. So to have any anybody consider bumping it in a club or beyond that, just like listening to it entirely is like, it's a big honor. So I appreciate you guys giving me the time to talk about this thing that I'm obsessed with and that I love. And I'm just super grateful for the moment. I'm grateful to be here and grateful to technology and the space of Web3 and technology that allows us to have this conversation through the interwebs. And just talk about an unlikely meeting, right? Where, I mean, in the real world, this just never would have happened. And so I'm just super grateful for the moment and grateful for you guys. And where can they get the album? Where can they buy it? Yeah, sure. Sorry. As far as the album goes, if you want to directly support me, Bandcamp is probably the best way to do that. Like I see most of the proceeds there. Streaming and Spotify and stuff doesn't make me any money. It's not why I do it. And so it's like, but that being said, it's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, on Napster. Like, I mean, it's literally everywhere. And that's an ethos of mine. If somebody wants it, they should be able to have it. And yeah, so as far as direct support goes, Bandcamp's the way to go. And then if you're in Web3 and you do NFT stuff, I have 2 different projects that are just like art-based. I have a seasonal moose who updates throughout the year, and it comes with custom art and music every single time. And then I have a Sleep Mask Insomniacs Club, and it's a bunch of sleep mask donned guys that have custom music behind them, and it's custom artwork by me. Some of them are physical pieces, some of them are digital pieces. And then and those obviously are also great. It's the same as direct support. And they're on 2 different blockchains, Ethereum and Solana. And I have a link tree that has all this stuff. If you're interested at all, you can find it on my X profile. And on another note as well, I guess, as far as support goes, I live stream my creative process every single time. That Beyond the Event Horizon was literally created live on stream. I live stream my process on Twitch and now on X as well, because I do a simulcast. And I do that for myself. It's just a matter of accountability. And it's not like I'm like some huge streamer that has thousands of viewers every day. I have a couple of regulars that I've had for like 8 years of my life. And yeah, if you ever want to come around, ask questions, learn a thing or two about my process or how I write music, or if you want me to teach you how I do it, I always love when people come in and ask questions. I don't like to gatekeep. I like to teach. I like to pass on the information. And so yeah, you can come and hang out with me anytime on live, either on X or on Twitch. My Twitch is General Beans. It's not Jigsaw. It's an old name. Yeah, I mean, I'm working on a new album, and that's going to come out this year. Like I said, I produce an album a year, and I stick to that word. That's a promise I make to myself. So look forward to something new coming up this year in 2025. I guess it'll be Stream of Consciousness 4, I guess. And it's no surprise. It's going to be Stream of Consciousness Volume 4. So
nice. Hell yeah. Well, thank you again, Cookie. Also, thank you so much for being my co-host, man. I couldn't do it without you, bro. And it's always a pleasure. Jigsaw, man, it was great meeting you. Wish you all the best, too, in your endeavors and what's happening here. I didn't get a chance to ask you this, and I will we'll get into it the next time you're on the show. But I just so you know, I wanted to put it in your head. I really wanted to know your process. What equipment you're using, what DAW you're using, how are you taking the steps to doing it? When do you know it sounds good? When do you not? When does it sound like shit to you? You know, so on and so forth. So we'll talk about that the next time that you're on. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. The whole Jus Riffin fam, thank you. Powered by Rug Radio. Thank you, Rug Radio. Thank you, everybody that listens to the show. Everybody out there in TV land. We will see you next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we have Adam Tastic is going to be on our show. So I'm excited about that. Check him out, and we'll have a flyer up pretty soon. But thanks again, everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Jus Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Jus Riffin. Special guest and second talk. A musicology. Jus Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Jus Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Jus Riffin.